Hello, I want to tell you about Bill, an Aussie bloke from long ago. The first person to talk about Bill was C.J. Dennis in a very long poem called Songs of a Sentimental Bloke. Bill is a rough and ready sort of fella who spends his spare time on the shick or boozing, playing games of two-up and stoushing johns or brawling with policemen. In short, he's a larrikin. But when he lays eyes on Doreen, a young lady who works in a pickle factory, he falls in love and he's transformed, and he begins to learn from her that there are higher things in life. A few years after C.J. Dennis, Raymond Longford made a wonderful film about the whole love story, with Mr. Arthur Tocher playing Bill and the sweet Lottie Lyle playing Doreen. Only back in those days, just over 100 years ago, they hadn't worked out how to get sound on films, so you had to read the words they said in middle in-between bits called intertitles, and the music had to be played live by an ivory tickling coot or a fancy jazz band. They reckon The Sentimental Bloke was Longford's masterpiece and probably the iconic early Aussie film, and I reckon they're right. By the time the Great Depression turned up, our new Australian film industry pretty much died, and most of the films that were made here were lost, destroyed, or just fell to bits. A whole era of wonderful Aussie films was almost completely lost. But thanks to the fine people at the Australian Film and Sound Archive, what there was left has been lovingly restored and brought back to life. The bloke has just been polished off again with the latest technology, so he looks more schmick than ever. My new score for Piano Duet, which my partner Aura Go and I performed together, incorporates some delightful Australian popular music from the bloke's day. I've composed it to weave in a selection of songs by Jack Fuster, Gabriel Morel, Jack Godfrey and others, all spun into a rich piano symphony meant to evoke the live music origins of the silent era. Now let's have a look at a few snippets from the film. Here's our bloke, having a smoke and thinking about the next schooner with his best cobber, Ginger Mick. After a bit of a run-in with the law, here he is a bit later. He's at his lowest ebb because he's just been sent down for stoushing johns. And here she is, the lovely Doreen. He first spies her at a market stall, and he reckons she's the ideal woman. He takes her to the theatre to see some Shakespeare, although I'm guessing it was her idea. I don't suppose Bill has ever seen any Shakespeare before. Well, Bill isn't the only one to admire Doreen. When a coot in a straw hat starts sniffing about, things get quite uptight for a while. Then later, there are some moments of bliss together. Well, no more spoilers from me. I really hope you'd like to see the show. My mates at Musica Viva know all about it, and they'd be happy to help you with your inquiries. Hooroo!